Luffy and Kuzan are two of the most prominent students of Garp who have turned to piracy. These two are often put in discussions to see who would win, so I'm here to break it down for you. Who would win, Luffy or Kuzan? Before I get into the video, I'm going to give you guys an ultimatum real quick. If you enjoy the video, you like and subscribe. So I'm trying to hit that 1k goal and 88% of you guys haven't subscribed yet, so we did. But yeah, that's the end of the promotion. Let's get straight into the video. To start, I'm going to go into Luffy and then Kuzan, since I think Luffy will be a little bit longer than covering Kuzan. So without further ado, let's get into Luffy. So for Luffy's base, he's able to scrap with Kaido and even split the skies with him, but in the end it wasn't enough for him. When Luffy starts using Gear 2 and Gear 3, that's when it starts to get interesting. While fighting him in Gear 2 plus Gear 3, he's able to make Kaido say this, which basically means he's his strongest opponent since Oden. I know the community has a lot of trouble understanding this panel, but it's very simple to understand. Kaido increases his level of Haki because Luffy has then pushed him to actually go all out. Before, he was probably just suppressed. And it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that since he hasn't fought anybody on a serious level since Oden, so yeah. Kaido up to that point was basically just suppressed. So past this point, Kaido was at full power, and that's when Gear 4 Luffy comes out, and since then he just doesn't win a single exchange against Kaido. I mean, he has a few good hits in, but he doesn't do anything of substance. I mean, look, if you don't believe me, just look at Luffy trying to say that one last punch back then was going to end Kaido. We all know Kaido still had more in his bag, so that wasn't going to do much. But this isn't to knock Luffy. This just means that against the very, very top echelon of characters, Luffy can box them, but he will lose, but he can box them to a certain level. So now Gear 5 is where Luffy is basically just a top tier. Like, you can't deny it. Luffy is at the top level of fighter. Because in this form, he literally showcases that he can beat Kaido in a Haki clash and just overpower him in general. Now, in terms of raw Haki, I genuinely do think that Luffy is up there with the best. But obviously, styles make matchups and people do have conditions to how far they can go. Every top tier showcase that they have stamina in some way. Sakazuki, Kaido, Big Mom, Roger, Whitebeard, they all have stamina in some way, shape or form. So Luffy not having the greatest of staminas, we will have to address that later, but for now, we're gonna just leave it here. Now that we've covered Luffy, let's get on to Kuzan. Next to cover is Kuzan, and the scaling is pretty concrete and easy to understand. Firstly, we can scale him off of Sakazuki. All we need to do is just take Sakazuki's scaling, tone it down a little bit, and that's literally just Kuzan. Sakazuki is a major part of his scaling since Sakazuki is stated to be the strongest fleet admiral they've had, meaning he's stronger than Sengoku, and I think the statement even goes on to say that he's like the strongest marine and whatever, so that does include Garp as well. His fight against Garp is a massive indicator too, and I know a lot of people do not like to admit it, but I'm going to be honest here, yes, he was holding back against Garp. In the first panel on screen, we can see that he was wavering, since Garp is like, yo, wavering is a sign of weakness, and we know from many statements in the series that when you start to waver, you start to doubt yourself, that is when you are weak. Now this second panel on the screen literally has Kuzan saying that he is worried about Garp, and if you don't want to believe this statement, then I'm going to assume you have an agenda against Kuzan, or probably just the admirals in general. But yeah, as you can see with these two panels, he's literally holding back. There is no denying it, he was holding back during the fight. Also, we should consider the fact that he didn't freeze the entire island over. Like, he could have done that and could have gotten a massive advantage over everybody on the island he was trying to fight, but he didn't because he couldn't. Blackbeard wouldn't allow it. So enough about us talking about Kuzan being held back and whatever, let's actually talk about what happened. Firstly, Kuzan can take ACOC attacks from Garp straight up, and he can match Garp's ACOC while holding back. Obviously that wasn't a prime Garp, that was an old Garp, and obviously your Conqueror's Haki does matter to how strong you are as a person, it's stated here. But to still match that while mentally nerfed is a massive feat, and to back this up, he was also fighting Akainu for 10 days straight. Mind you, he is the highest attack potency in terms of Devil Fruit, so that is crazy to just go up against for 10 days straight. Kuzan does also possess advanced armament Haki and future sight, and obviously he can just change the whole entire climate of an island, and yeah, he can fight for 10 days. So overall his stats are very tight, and they are stats of a top tier. End it off, he does have the strength of a prime Garp. So yeah, Kuzan as a fighter is very tight and strong. Hey, pause on all the times it's a type, by the way. Pause. But yeah, now that we're done scaling Kuzan, let's go into the rules. To start, I'm going to give the location, and I'm going to say some egghead as per usual, like in all my other versus videos. Also, as per usual, like in my other videos, if they have any prior knowledge on each other, they can use it. And with the bloodlusted thing, obviously their state will be bloodlusted, but I don't know how bloodlusted Gear 5 Luffy can get. But yeah, as bloodlusted as he can get, yeah, then he'll be bloodlusted. And with that being said, let's start the fight. So first of all, let's understand what their first moves would be. It's clear that Luffy will go into Gear 5 to start this off, and that will probably just throw Kuzan off, stopping him from whatever he's going to do. Now, if we be real, obviously Kuzan will know less about Gear 5 and Luffy will know more about Kuzan's ability just overall. And that will throw Kuzan off and that will allow Luffy to land a few hits in. But with that being said, I do believe that Kuzan has the endurance to take all of these attacks. Considering Sakazuki has one of the highest damage and devil fruits in the series and boxing for 10 days, yeah, Kuzan definitely has the capabilities to take on Luffy in Gear 5. It's also stated that Sakazuki is stronger than Sengoku and Garp, and if you don't want to believe that, you at least believe that he is on their level of power, which means Kuzan has felt that level of pressure Luffy will give him. I think in terms of raw haki, Kuzan is weaker than Luffy, but not by far, but obviously he's still weaker than Luffy in terms of haki. But it's also great to mention here that just because you're stronger than someone in terms of haki doesn't mean that the other person can't land in hits and obviously do stuff to you. That was making matchups, and Luffy's haki isn't that far away from Kuzan's, and to add, Kuzan has already been stated to fight a high level combatant for more than 5 minutes, way longer than 5 minutes, may I add. So I think you get where I'm coming from now. Yes, haki can reign supreme, but for Luffy in his fight against Kuzan, only having greater haki than him for 5 minutes is kinda crazy and just won't help him in the long run. Since it is stated and shown that Kuzan can fight on par with high level combatants for basically just 10 days straight consecutively, I don't think Luffy can put him down in 5 minutes. Luffy versus any top tier at this point is, can they survive the 5 minutes? And I'm sorry to tell you, they all can survive the 5 minutes. Now, I do believe a way of success for Luffy is to gear up to that Gear 5, but if we take Luffy as he is moving right now, he goes straight into Gear 5. With that being said, the winner of this fight is Kuzan. Understand me when I say this, Luffy at his peak is stronger than Kuzan. Let's not get that twisted, he is stronger than Kuzan at his peak, but can he keep that peak for longer than 5 minutes? No, it's not been shown. Ask yourself another question. Can Kuzan fight at that high tier level for longer than 5 minutes? Yes, he can fight it for 10 days, so you know what that means? He wins. Every top tier we've seen has been able to fight for a prolonged period of time, and I think that's the one thing Luffy is missing from actually just being the strongest, period. So yeah, that's it from me. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, since a lot of people do love Luffy and a lot of people don't really mess with the Admirals and Kuzan and that, but that is the truth of the thing, and if you guys can understand that, then we all cool. Don't get me wrong, as I've said multiple times now, Luffy at his peak is one of the strongest characters. But right now his stamina is holding him back, and we've seen it multiple times on Egghead now. It's not like a thing where it's a one and done, or it was just when he fought Kaido. No, he needs to eat to keep that level of stamina up, and that is his main fault. So yeah, that'll probably be it from me today. I'm out.
I'm bored. I Twitter what my asshole has. I'm a wide receiver. I'm gay.